thank you again for joining us for our session, dialogue, really, not necessarily a full presentation. This is a roundtable discussion about collaborative advising efforts for academically at-risk students. So as you can see, this was our last graduation. This was our spring graduation. And it was, for us, kind of a coincidence, but no mistake by chance that our graduation was actually on the football field at Georgia Tech at their stadium here in downtown Atlanta. And like many of you, we had to adjust our spring 2020 graduations. So we hosted both our 2020 and 2021 grads on a Saturday, one in the morning and one mid-morning, one afternoon. So 2 in one day. So we were all tired, but no coincidence, right? So we thought that would be a nice backdrop for our discussion today, is to talk about student success in this mindset of playing a game of football or playing sports. So our agenda reflects that today. So we'll introduce our coaches for today, talk about our team meeting and all of your planning that goes along. Friday Night Lights is, game time. What are we doing? How are we impacting our student lives with our efforts? And then game stats, that's really that time to take a look at what is important to all of us. What are those things that we are measuring? What do we really care about? And then lastly, I'm really good at this one, the Monday morning quarterbacking, right? When Drew Brees was playing for my Saints, who dat? I could Monday morning quarterback all day long and tell you what he did wrong and why he couldn't make those passes. So sometimes we do have to sit back and take a look at our efforts and really analyze and see what we can do better so that our students can ultimately win.
Good afternoon. I'm Kimberlyn Neely and wanted to introduce myself quickly. I serve for today's presentation as a coach, if you will, for second and third year students. I work in the Office of Undergraduate Studies as an associate dean and work very closely with Dr. Blash.
So I am a coach for first year students here on campus, but also serve as the associate director of our student success program.
And we thought this might be a great time for you all to introduce yourselves, since it's a small group. So if you can tell us who you are and what roles you play on your campuses, that would be wonderful. Can we begin with Michelle Marshall, please?
I work as a student success coach at Philander Smith College.
Thank you. And are you with a particular group?
Our group is Student Transition and Retention Services, and we call it STARS for short.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, hello, hello. It's so good to see you both on this afternoon, great afternoon. I appreciate the session being added and, been working with this project in a few different ways. I come to you today as one of the consultants on this project through the National Resource Center, but then also as a practitioner in the space, working closely with student success across a number of HBCU institutions, primarily Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina, where I assist with strategic programming to really pull in external partners and use those resources to remove barriers, right, for student success. And so, there's that piece of it. And then there's also the kind of fellow piece, thinking about policy and practice in this space. So just really happy to be here and looking forward to hearing more from you both. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Corey Sims, please.
Hi, I'm Corey Sims. I work at Dillon University. I'm an academic advisor and also am the retention specialist for the University College. So with the University College, we deal with the first year students, deal with the first year transition and everything like that. And with me, I just started because I had worked at the PWI before, so now I'm transitioning over to the HBCU side. So right now we still dealing with the effects from Hurricane Ida. So sorry for not having my camera on.
That's okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Dr. James Cabin, I'm not sure if there's more to the last name, Cabanis. Thank you.
No worries. I'm Dr. James Cabanis. So I'm the Executive Director of Student Success and Retention at Elizabeth City State University, where we oversee first year advising, as well as retention and academic support in our general education first year seminar. So I have a plethora of experience working at Norfolk State University, where I got my start in advising, all the way up to a community college, and then at a PWI, my latest stint before joining Elizabeth City State University. So I love academic advising, love helping students be successful. So I'm really glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cabanis, and I believe we're going to have a great discussion. And then it looks like our last person, please forgive me, I hope that I pronounced your name correctly, Judetta Cowden.
Yes, that is correct. I'm Dr. Judetta Cowden, and I'm the Director of Student Retention for Talladega College. I have just recently joined Talladega. I always say I'm about 2 months old. And I came down from a tribal college in Alaska where I was Director of Adult Education. And I'm just really elated to be back home, originally from Alabama, and working with my tribe here.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Cowden, and welcome back to Alabama. Let me get started. Oh, you're welcome. Let's get started with talking about the purpose of our team meetings, right? On most of our campuses, it's really important that we gather the stakeholders. We need to identify who are the key players. And the key players are going to range from divisions. And you may have folk from student affairs. You may have folk, obviously, from academic affairs. But then you also have other key stakeholders, such as your student access center, or maybe even your counseling services center. And obviously, once we've kind of gathered our stakeholders, identified who they are, we want to be careful about organizing our efforts well. Because we're all, I believe, looking to engage in high touch with our students, we obviously want to make sure that folk know what they're doing, what they're supposed to be doing, but also understanding what other people do. So that if there is a need for a referral, I can get that information to the appropriate, I can get that student to the appropriate person, to the appropriate resource on campus. So it's really important that we understand what positions people are in. And of course, drafting and recruiting personnel. I was just talking to Dr. Blash earlier that this week I received 2 communications from 2 faculty who rarely ever reach out to the Office of Undergraduate Studies and said, hey, I have 2 students, I'm really concerned about them. I was able to get in contact with both of those students this week, talk through a couple of things, and we're back on track. So it's really important that we draft and recruit personnel to help with the efforts of ensuring that our students complete, but more than just completing this experience, but preparing them for that lifelong path of career and personal excellence, professional excellence. Obviously, we want to set the tone. It's everyone's responsibility to ensure that our students are succeeding, that our students have all the tools that they need, that they are getting internships, perhaps engaging in research, but they are successful. So every person has a part to play. And that allows us to essentially create a winning game plan, because you've always got to review what the game plan is. And then when we need to pivot, when we need to be fluid, then we obviously need to do so. Obviously, we wanted to just kind of point out very quickly that this is rooted in our strategic plan. That is misspelled, and I promise you, we looked at this a million times. Deliver the spelling promise.
We should have recruited more personnel.
We should have recruited more personnel to read this. I promise you, we read this a million times and didn't see it. We, in fact, went over this 3 times before this morning. This morning. At any rate, elevate the Spelman difference, enhance operational excellence, promote academic innovation. So essentially, we want to ensure that every Spelman graduates with a competitive edge. And that's happening in different areas. We will, in the spring, begin a new program with Braven, which provides students with 16 weeks, and it's for all sophomores. It will provide students with 16 weeks of interviewing, mock interviews, real interviews, mentoring, leadership coaches, learning labs, et cetera, et cetera. And so we certainly are pushing those students to have that competitive edge. We would like to obviously inspire an efficient, collaborative, and results-oriented culture among faculty and staff, and then make sure that we streamline the student process. That's all part of the game plan to ensure that we have wins. So when we think about our 2 offices, I'm with the Office of Undergraduate Studies, and my colleague is with the Spelman College Student Success Center. We are always working together to ensure that we're delivering that Spelman promise. We are on the phone, we are emailing constantly, because we know that it is a partnership. And so if we are sending referrals over to them or simply checking in to see how things are going, and my colleague will talk about a system that we use, which allows us to kind of check in on how students are doing with their meetings with the Student Success Center, as well as how they are doing with meetings with their advisors.
So I hope that gives you all an idea, just the planning, the background that goes into putting together your plan. So one of the things that we really stress on campus is that, when it's game time, we're all in go mode. We're all, ready to jump in and help our students from day one, right? We're all trying to do things, right? But it's really important to make sure that you're communicating with other members on the team, even when you have your strategies in place, right? If you look at a football field during the game, the coach is still on the sideline calling plays or adjusting or pivoting or responding to the behaviors that they're seeing on the field. And sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes our best plans still need to be modified during the game. So in response to some of those things, we have put collaborative efforts in place, making sure that we're knowing what other teams are doing, that we're clarifying what our expectations are, that we're sharing our wins, and we're obviously looking at all kinds of data to talk us through how to plan these interventions. One of them that we put together is called our first year study groups. We're just in year 2 of these first year study groups. And that was really brought about in response to an increased number of first year students being in academic trouble after their first semester prior to COVID. And then when COVID came, obviously that push to the virtual environment forced the college to rethink how are we going to approach first year student learning and success. So every one of our first year students is put into a study group where we have more senior students serve as their lead. So you can imagine this year we have almost 800 freshmen, which is a record size class for us. We have 40 plus study groups, and those students meet together 3 times a week, go through their academic work and other topics that deal with transition to college. What we saw with those study groups from last year is that students that attended even 3 sessions had higher GPAs than students that attended no sessions throughout the year. So we're trying to find ways to collaborate with other offices in order to help our students to be successful. The dean's office is doing oval walks where we're walking around our oval, which is our landscape in the middle of our campus. Obviously, there's lots of advising going on campus. I mean, you can wave your hand and say how much advising you all are doing, because I know you are. Advising, and more advising, but it's really about what is the content of the advising. At Spelman, we don't have what's called professional advisors doing academic planning or course planning with students. So we really have to make sure that what our office is doing in student success aligns with expectations of what the dean's office and our faculty advisors are doing. And then a learning lesson for our office at the beginning of the year was we were getting referrals from the dean's office about students on staff, and they were requesting that we meet with the students. Well, we have a very new staff. All of our staff is new. And it forced us to sit down and really look at what is our game plan going to be. Like, we're in the game, we're already getting the referrals, but we need to make sure that we have our strategy in place to deal with students that are on staff. Other efforts that we're doing, quarterly meetings with our dean's office and our office. We host collaborative sessions together called Ask a Sessions. So they're Ask a Dean and your success leader. Obviously, we're leveraging technology to make sure that we're communicating, and we're using Navigate that we branded the Spelman Arch on campus to make sure that we're noting our efforts as far as alerts and progress reports or our midterm reports, so that we're documenting those messages and others across campus can see what we're doing to work with students. And then lastly, we formed about 4 years ago now, the president called together what's called the College Completion Action Team, which is probably one of our most collaborative efforts, where we have representatives from all departments across campus, from financial aid to housing, academics, dean's office, student success, student affairs, wellness. I mean, representatives from all areas are on this college completion action team, and we have identified goals for each year and put together strategies that we work on to make sure that our students are successful. And then the other thing, and so once we do all of this, we sometimes at the end think about how did we win or was that successful, when we all know we should be thinking about that at the beginning, right? What is the win? What are we looking for? And it comes in many different ways, right? I remember very early on in my advising many years ago, I was working with a student who was struggling in organic chemistry. And I was looking 13 weeks ahead at how is she going to pass the class. And she quite honestly said to me, look, I just want to get my homework turned in tomorrow. Right. So that was her win. And I was already thinking about how is she going to get to a C+ or a B-. And she was like, I just want to turn in tomorrow's assignment. So we have to think about what is the win, right? And on campus, it's not that student success is winning or that the dean's office is winning or the professor is winning. It's really about the student winning and institutional winning, right? And we all can win, right? It's not at one's winning at the sake of the other. It's everybody is winning.